Hello, I'm back this week after I had a retreat with my clients last week, which was phenomenal. But I'm here today to talk to you guys about niche, the importance of niche, and why not every client with the dog is someone that you should be working with. And that is one of the biggest mistakes that dog trainers make, is just trying to take on any dog. Or any client. And it comes from a good place. It comes from, but the dog is important and I want to be able to help the dog, and the dog is the important one in this equation, and I got to focus on how I can help the dog. And the truth of the matter is, yes, the dog is important. And there are going to be a lot of dogs that you can't help because you can't get through to the people because of where they are at, right? Their own filters, their own stuff, their own beliefs, their own morals, values, ethics, all of that stuff shows up. And you wanting to be able to help the dog does not mean that you'll magically be able to get through to the person. It would be nice if it worked that way. That's what we try to make it be. We put ourselves through all kinds of hell. We turn ourselves into all kinds of pretzels. We put up with so much from the human clients because we're trying to keep the dog in the front of our mind and go, the dog is what's important. And the truth is, there are going to be dogs that you just can't help. And sometimes you need to actually just walk away before you get to that point. Because when you're working with, when you don't really have a concept of niche, and we're going to get into what niche means because it's not what you think it is. When you don't really have a concept of niche and you're kind of just working with all dogs and all clients, it's really hard to notice what are the things that are coming up that are draining your energy, or what are the things that are coming up that are edging you closer to burnout? What are the things that are coming up that are affecting your business because of the clients? Because if you've got a bunch of clients who are not doing the work or are just being shitty, it's really hard because everything is shitty, right? But when you understand niche and you've got majority niche clients, when you bring in a non-niche client, it's as obvious as this like throbbing red thumb, right? And so let's talk about why not work with everybody, right? We touched briefly on it with because you're not going to be able to get through to the people sometimes, but let's get into that a little bit. Because what we tend to do is go, okay, well, I'll lean in, I'll make myself uncomfortable, I'll do the work, I'll help, I'll blah, blah, blah. But working with those clients is actually the fastest way to burnout and resentment and frustration. So if you're at a point where you find yourself resenting people contacting you, or you find yourself frustrated with every client, or you find yourself leaving sessions going, why the fuck can't they just do their homework? Or I don't understand, like, how many times do I have to say this to a person? You're asking me the same question over and over and over. If you find yourself in that place, chances are you've got a niche problem. Actually, almost any business issue can be broken down to niche. Okay, it can be broken down to a hole in niche, right? Not everyone who has a dog has the same morals, values, ethics, and standards as you do, right? And it's exhausting trying to convince people why training is important, or trying to convince people not to hurt their dogs in training, or trying to convince people that using food is important. And we never want to be convincing. Okay, there's a big difference between educating and convincing, and we want to be educating, right? But in order to educate, we need to be working with people who want the education. That is the truth about it. If the client does not want the education, you are wasting your time, and you're trying to convince them, and you're hemorrhaging yourself emotionally, and you're getting nowhere, and you're ending up with a client who's getting more and more and more frustrated because they're not seeing any results, and you're ending up with a client who's going to walk away and shit talk you about it, and shit talk your methods, and shit talk your business, and blame you, which you know is not the case, but other people listening to them don't know that, right? So educating and convincing are two very different things. Convincing or trying to convince is a waste of your time. It's a waste of your breath. It's a waste of your mental and emotional resources. And it's a waste of your energy trying to convince people of anything. Because here's the thing, there are already so many people out there who are your niche. They are out there already. So what makes more sense to do? To keep banging your head against a brick wall with 9 out of 10 clients, or to find that 1 in 10 clients and only work with them and fill those 10 spots with those clients? Because they exist. There are people out there who share your values, share your morals and your ethics, and who understand that they don't know what they don't know, and who understand, who come to you open-minded and come to you open with, just tell me what to do and I'm going to do it, right? There's enough of those people wherever you live, and if you're doing fusion programs as well, you're able to work worldwide. So do you think you could find 10 people out of 7 billion who maybe share some of that stuff with you, right? But even if you're just working locally at the moment, there's still enough people out there who have that willingness to learn, that willingness to be open, that willingness to do what you tell them to do, that you can work with them. Those are the people you want to work with. And if and when you run out of those people, then you can have at it going to try and convince other people. But if you're spending your time trying to convince people, you're taking yourself down the road right to burnout, right? So if you're already working with clients at the moment, I want you to take a second and stop and think about who's the client who drives you absolutely crazy, who you're so unbelievably frustrated with every time you interact with them, who you have that ball of anxiety that just sits in your chest every time you think about getting on the phone with them, responding to their email, going out to see them. If you have clients like that coming up, so think about that. That's your anti-niche, right? That person is your anti-niche. That's the person you don't want to work with. Then I want you to think about a client that you're working with at the moment, or you've worked with in the past, that you've had the opposite, that they've done everything you told them to do, that they've asked you questions because it's important for them to learn, but they haven't questioned you. There's a difference between asking questions and questioning you, right? Who has shown up, who has lent in, who has done every little thing you've told them to do and has seen the results predictably, right? That is a part of your niche. Now, I want to get into what niche actually is, because like I said, it's not what you think it is. We think niche is, what do I teach? Niche is reactive dogs, or niche is puppies, or niche is fearful dogs, or whatever it happens to be, right? And that's not what niche is at all. Niche is not, I want you to hear this, write this down. Niche is not what you do. Niche is who you do it for. Okay? I'll say that again. Niche is not what you do. Niche is who you do it for. Okay? And that's where we need to start by we need to start building a picture in your head of what your niche is. And everybody's niche is going to look different, right? Because we all have things that, our values are all different. Even if it's just a slight difference, it's different, right? We all have things that are different, that are important to us about the clients that we work with, that are our moral lines and our ethical lines and our lines that we just won't cross. Our abilities, our capability, our capacity is all different. So everybody's niche is going to be different. And I'm going to tell you this now, niche is one of the hardest things that you're ever going to do. But when you get a handle on it, everything changes, right? It's hard to dig into who's my niche and what, who am I working with, and who do I want to work with and why. And the very first step to that is understanding who you are, right? At that level of what's important to you. So that's why it's so hard, because we have to dig into our own identity and look at all of the little pieces that make us us in order to understand who we want to be working with. It's a lot. It's not a go do this in an afternoon exercise, right? But I am going to give you guys some guidelines around how to start looking for our niche clients and how to start building a picture of who your niche client is. So the first thing that I want you to be aware of is that our niche doesn't have to share every single belief with us, or every single ethical view, or have everything exactly the same, because it's almost impossible to find an exact match, right? And we also don't want to be creating that like fishbowl kind of feedback loop effect. We want to be getting in difference in opinions and different views in our life, because it makes us think critically, and it stretches our mental and our emotional skills, right? So we're not just creating an environment of, I have all these people who are just exactly like me, because that's super unhealthy too. But we do want to make sure that the core things that are important for us are there. Okay. You want to have enough of things in common that you're not having to fight someone on the views. You're not having to convince someone of anything, and that you can develop a relationship that they'll trust you to do the things that you tell them to do. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you some of the things that you need to look for in building your niche. Okay, some of the things you need to think about, and it's so much deeper than this, and we're going to do some more videos on this too. But first and foremost, I want you to look at these demographics. So the first thing is, how old is your niche? Well, what kind of things do you need to take into account about age? Well, you want to take into account their earning capabilities, where they're at financially, because here's the thing that everybody's niche is going to have in common is they have to be able to afford you to be your niche. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean that you don't get to work with people who can afford you, right? That's a whole other thing. Just keep that in the back of your head. We'll get to that. But for your ideal niche clients, how old are they? Right? Maturity level comes into things as well. Where they're at in their life comes into things as well. It's a whole different ballgame working with someone who's just had a baby and needs help with their rambunctious dog who's pulling her down the street with the pram, versus working with someone who is has just retired and it's just them and their dog, and it's going to be a whole different ballgame. So how old are they? Are they male? Are they female? Do they live in an apartment? Do they live in a house? Do they own? Do they rent? Do they live with family? That's an important part of understanding your niche. Are they single? Are they married? Are they living common law? Are they divorced? Are they widowed? What's their career? Do they work full-time? Are they stay at home? Do they work part-time? Are they at school? Are they an exec or a pro? Are they self-employed? Are they an entrepreneur? What's their education level? Are they self-taught in things? Do they have high school, college, university, further education? What did they study? Do they have any kids? Are the kids living in the home? Or are the kids out of the home? Are there no kids? How much do they make? Okay, we talked about a little bit. What's the ideal income bracket for you, for your clients to make to be able to afford your services? Then we want to get into the psychographic of things. So what's important to you? And that can be things like these people have to be proactive. Maybe it's really important to you that they're detail focused. Maybe they're cost conscious. Maybe that's going to be an anti-niche thing if they're super aware of not, or if they're not able to see the value because they're worried about the cost, right? Are they extroverted or introverted? Are they organized or disorganized? Are they rational? Are they incredibly emotional? Are they inexperienced with dogs? Are they strategy focused? Are they cautious? Are they an activist? Are they empathetic? Are they understanding? Are they laid back? Are they A-type personalities? Are they super political? Are they impulsive? Are they introverted? Are they motivated because they're trying to get away from something painful, or are they trying to move towards something enjoyable? So if they're trying to get away from something painful, they're trying to avoid or get away from the feeling of embarrassment and shame that they feel when their dog pulls them on leash, versus moving towards something pleasurable is more your puppy kind of clients who there isn't a major big problem yet and they just want to move towards having this great dog, right? So what is their driving factor? So what you can do, I want you to grab a pen and paper if you don't have it already, because you're going to answer these questions to start being able to develop your niche. And the first question is, who do you care about? Who do I care about? Who do you care about? So do you care about single mothers who are struggling, who have, are really, they're showing up, but they're doing everything by themselves and they really need some support? Do you care about people who are retired and they're just, maybe they're widowed and they're looking for some companionship and they want to make sure that they can, leave their dog alone and go out for dinner, or they want to, just have a companion dog who hangs out with them? Who do you care about? Who's important to you? And that is going to come from your own identity, your own, what's going on in your life, your own morals, your own values, your ethics, all of that kind of stuff. So that's the first question to answer. Who do you care about? Second thing that you want to get into is, where are they in their lives right now, right? Are they new parents? Are they empty nesters? Are they retired? Are they just, have they gone back to school? Where are they at in their life, and what do they want? Now, this is, what do they want more than dog training? Yeah, we know they want a dog who walks nicely on leash, or a dog they can take to the park, or whatever it happens to be. But what do they want? Do they want that sense of connection and relationship with their dog because they're lonely? Do they want a little bit of stress relief because their entire life feels like a pressure cooker and the dog's behaviors are just adding to that, and we just need to release that pressure a little bit for them and release some of that steam? Do they want to find something to do with their dog that's going to get them out of the house so that they can be more social because they're feeling socially isolated? Really dig into, where are they at? Like, what do they want right now? What do they love? What do they fear? What makes them angry? And what keeps them awake at night? Now, none of these are easy questions, right? And when you start working into this, you can sit there and go, I don't freaking know. Like, and that is why you need to do the work. Because if you don't know this, you can't get your marketing message in front of your right clients, which means you're not attracting your niche clients, which means you're not working with your niche clients, which means you're on your way to burnout. Okay, so yes, this is hard, and yes, this is a lot of work, but if you want to have a business that doesn't burn you out, that you are refilling your cup as you're working, that you're working with the best clients ever, that you are making a difference, that you're not just hemorrhaging your emotional energy, then this is a lean in, and you need to do this, because without your niche, you're not going to have that business. All right, so we're going to do some other videos on niche too, because there's so much more to get into. But this is your first one. I'd love to see the answers to those questions, or see any questions that you may have on niche stuff. All right, guys, enjoy.